Welcome back to another episode of Migration Monday. I appreciate you all joining me here today. This episode is brought to you by the Duck Hole and Company, attracting feathers together. They are a full-service habitat company located in North Carolina. If you have questions about waterfowl habitat or need some work done on your property, you can contact them through any of their social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram at the Duck Hole Company. They can also fix you up with golden millet, also known as the duck buffet, and the best bang for your duck. This episode is also brought to you by CK Custom Calls, custom built in the USA from the great state of Texas, handmade in a world of mass produced. Check out their calls on their Instagram and Facebook pages at CK Custom Calls. They showcase calls for sale there, and you can also contact them for a custom order. Just wanted to jump on here today and talk a little bit about the history of waterfowl hunting. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have saw my story where I posted an old drawing of a Native American who's kind of wading in the water neck deep, and he's got a pumpkin on his head, and he's grabbing a duck by the feet. I found this doing some research for an upcoming episode of the audio podcast on the history of waterfowl hunting, and I thought it was super interesting. I've never seen or heard anything about this before. So this is a drawing that is at the Delaware Art Museum. The artist was William Roswig. He was an American illustrator back in the early to mid 1900s, it looks like. The drawing actually also appeared in the March 1962 issue of Sports Afield. And like I said, I'll try to bring the drawing up here on the video. It's pretty interesting if you haven't seen it before. Don't know if that actually is true, if they actually did that. Kind of an odd thing for somebody to make up, but I put that out there on my story to see if maybe anybody had heard about that. I've got some contacts that I've made, some experts who deal with history of waterfowl and Native American history, things like that. So hopefully I can track somebody down that might know something about it. It actually makes a little bit of sense. I don't know what the ducks would be thinking if they saw a bunch of pumpkins floating in the water, but I guess it's a lot better than a human head, that looks completely unnatural and, a predator, obviously. But yeah, super interesting. Just wanted to jump on and talk about that a little bit today. If anybody's ever heard of that or knows anything about that, post in the comments below, and maybe we can investigate that a little bit more. So there's a lot of different information that I've come across. Also, there's been prehistoric evidence to suggest that duck trapping was a thing nearly 12,000 years ago. In North America, snares were used to hunt ducks or trap ducks, I should say, in the southwestern region about 2,000 years ago. And then, of course, in the 1700s, hunters used matchlock shotguns and flintlocks up until recently. I also came across a really interesting article. This one was published back in 2006 by Bill Nickel. It's on the Ducks Unlimited page. He talks about in 1607, in the wintertime, Captain John Smith at the Jamestown settlement was hunting ducks along the marshy banks of Virginia's Chickahominy River when some 200 Pamunkey Indian ambushed his party, killing his companions and taking him captive. I've always heard that story about him being taken captive, but never heard that he was hunting ducks when it happened. So that's pretty interesting. Let me see what else here did I find. Just going to read a couple of these excerpts for you here. Same article, near Jamestown, Alexander Whitaker, a minister, reported that in winter, the rivers and creeks were overspread everywhere with waterfowl of the greatest and least sort: swans, flocks of geese, brants, ducks, and mallard. Interesting that he differentiated duck and mallard. Mergansers, divers, etc. John Pori, who visited the Pilgrims' colony in January of 1623, described the bay beyond Plymouth Harbor as covered with all sorts of waterfowl in such swarms and multitudes as is rather admirable than credible. Obviously, the colonists were eager to harvest this bounty, and the success they enjoyed is recorded in their own words. In a book published in 1634, William Wood exclaimed, "If I should tell you how some have killed 100 geese a week, 50 ducks at a shot, 40 teals at another, it may be counted impossible, though nothing is more certain." In a more contemporary book, Thomas Morton boasted, "I've had often 1,000 geese before the mouth of my gun." In Virginia, John Smith and 2 other Jamestown inhabitants also experienced some good luck when they bagged 148 waterfowl during one hunt. Pretty interesting article. I can put the link to this article in the notes below so you can read the entire thing. But yeah, pretty interesting. There's a lot of holes in the history going back to the Native Americans, especially the East Coast. I mean, the European diseases and the war and everything else, wiped out the Eastern tribes so quickly. We lost so much of their records, which is pretty sad. It's unfortunate, but trying to piece that together, talking through some of the ancestors, a lot of their records are kept verbally and handed down in stories. So that's kind of what I'm working on now, trying to find some experts that have a little more knowledge about that are willing to come on the show, or if not, at least, give me some information. I could track down some other options there. So that's going to be, I think everybody will find that pretty fascinating. Let me see what else here. A couple of things marked down here. Another interesting article I came across was on birdtailwaterfowl.com. It's a brief history of waterfowl hunting. Pretty interesting. They talk about the ancient Egyptian tomb. I don't even know if I can pronounce this, of Numhotep II, features the image of a man hunting ducks using a trap, an indication that traps were a common tool used for waterfowl hunting as early as the prehistoric era. Many cultures lured ducks into live traps with food. Other cultures would create duck decoy hats and swim in the water. Now that may be connected to the pumpkin thing. That's interesting. When they got close enough, they would simply grab the duck by its legs. It's a comical image, but these early hunting methods kept humans fed and warm for thousands of years. The bow and arrow was also an important invention for hunting. Unfortunately, it often wasn't accurate enough for the quick, easily spooked waterfowl. Indigenous groups in North America developed early stock hunting methods to get close enough to shoot ducks and other birds. During the Middle Ages, waterfowl hunting became a popular sport among European nobility. Medieval lords thought hunting was a great way to practice skills that would be valuable in war. It gave men a chance to get good at bow and arrow usage, horseback riding, and tracking. Medieval hunting relied heavily on dogs. To hunt waterfowl, dogs would scare the sitting birds into flight. Once in the air, they would be shot with a bow and arrow and retrieved. These retrieval dogs are ancestors of many modern breed we know and love today. And then, let's see, they get into the invention of the firearms. This is also a pretty interesting article. I'll put the links to this one as well. But yeah, it's just super interesting to learn about how our ancestors would hunt for waterfowl and the different tactics that they used with the technology that they had at the time. And just, something interesting to learn about if you're into that kind of thing. I'm really into history, especially Native American history. It's always fascinated me how those hunters navigated and adapted in their world before the advent of gunpowder and European settlement and all that. It's just super interesting to see the different eras that they came up through with, spears and atlatls, and then the development of the bow and arrow and just the different techniques from all of that. So, like I said, I've been tracking down some experts to come on the show. I'm trying to put together a really good episode, or maybe several episodes. We'll see how it all works out. But just wanted to share a couple things with you. I got a lot of questions about that post that I put on my story with the Native American with the pumpkin on his head. So thought I'd give you a little more information and what was going on with how I came up with that. So I appreciate you all tuning in for another Migration Monday. Thanks again. Take care and God bless.